Yo, what up guys? Travic here, and today let's talk EK Ignite. Very recently I played Lightning Arrow Elementalist, and a lot of you guys reached out and said, hey man, have you played Ethereal Knives anytime recently? Have you played EK Ignite Elementalist? And I heard from all of you, and I mean a lot of you have reached out about playing EK Ignite. One gentleman in particular reached out and provided a POB and a video about what EK Ignite really was, and that gentleman was a Mr. Zealous Journey. Zealous reached out with his video about EK Ignite. He walked me through it. He spent time answering my dumb, silly questions, and he just spent a whole lot of time giving me answers to things that I didn't know I need, and spent so much time helping me to understand what he was playing in the build. This build was so sick to watch. This video was really good. I've referred back to this video many times over the last couple of days during my journey of EK Ignite. His POB and video will be provided for you down below, but let's talk about what is going on. First and foremost, we are indeed an Elementalist once again, so if you have Lightning Arrow and you're considering this, or you want to level a witch, this is a lot of fun. EK, or Ethereal Knives, is the big round green explosions flying around your character, and this character is a character that I'm indeed using to do my tier 16.5 Alva maps. A map doing this build looks relatively sweet. You have really good defensive layers. You've got 3,000 health, mind over matter, your 90 block with Svalin and Lucky Block, your capped resistances, your ailment immune, and you pretty much do everything that Lightning Arrow does, but a little bit tankier. But let me stop yapping and show you what a map looks like. You can see immediately once we get into a map, we have ignites all over the screen, and I actually have the MTX off to keep a little bit of visual clarity for you. Now, for me, while recording, it's a little bit laggy because OBS takes up a lot of resources, but if I'm not recording and I'm playing, it's smooth, really smooth. Now, if you are a big fan of explosions and like getting baited by explosions, we have some really cool Herald MTX, so you can see just how many explosions are really happening on the screen, and it's not just a little bit, it's a lot of it. EK Ignite is literally spreading all over the screen and no, that was the merc I needed with the malevolence of the grace. I wasn't paying attention because I was recording. Well, it blows up mercs really fast if you, yeah. Anyways, man, so many maps down the drain. But as you can see, maps, I'm playing one-handed, I'm phasing through mobs, everything's blowing up, I'm just right-clicking and moving all around. And it's just a really smooth experience without a whole lot of gear. Well, I mean, we have gear, but you know what I mean. You don't need like 14 mirrors worth of gear like Lightning Arrow or other builds have. But your Alvas too, your Alvas go super smooth. So let's go grab this Evolving Shrine. Let's come on over to the Alva, and let's go into the Alva and just kind of take a look at what happens here. So we press a little button, we EK Ignite, everything Ignite proliferates, it all explodes. You get a little bit of lag in typical true Alva fashion, thanks to like the MTXs, but everything just kind of blows right up and you have no problems at all. Now, the big difference and takeaway with this build is you can indeed reach all 4 Alvas without any problems, but you do have to hustle a little bit. You can't really dilly-dally because we are not using the Solstice necklace. We are indeed using a necklace that gives us a whole lot of damage, and we'll talk about the damage when we get over to the POB. You see there, we got a big swing, a little swinging action. We're gonna look for the next Alva because I didn't pay attention to where they were, which I should have done. Headhunter doing Headhunter things and porting us all around, and then just like that, we get to just blow up the entirety of the screen. And it's good, it's fun, it's a really good time. It covers a lot of distance. The Ignite proliferates are really good. The Ignites linger, they kill multiple layers, and even if you want to do other content like tier 17 maps, you could do tier 17 maps relatively easily. You could do simulacrums pretty easily. I don't think I would take this into Uber bosses, but there's a lot of cool content that you could do. I'm planning on bringing this in the next couple of days to do some of the Abyss farming. I've seen some really cool Abyss strategies that I haven't tried yet because Ethereal Knives is a spell. And this is the first time that I have a spellcaster. And look, you can see right there, he's dead, no problem. I probably should have just went into the Alva and killed him afterwards. But overall, all in all, Just an absolutely fun, fantastic build to play. And it hits a lot of the nostalgia of the old days of playing Ethereal Knives, thinking about, you know, the good old days. Oh God, my whole game froze. Oh, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Now, I'm probably not going to get the 4th Alva because I'm spending too much time yapping and doing other things, and my game's freezing up a little bit because, and I almost die, and we regenerate all of our life, and you know, it's fine, bro. It's fine. We'll just kill these really quick. We'll go over here. We'll kill this. We'll come in here. We'll kill this. We have 10 seconds. We could probably get into the next one. We can go right here. We can do this. The Alva's right there. Headhunter porting us away. Headhunter, please get into the Alva and fire. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Shoot, baby. I'm sure we got a whole lot of mobs, so I'm pretty happy. I'm still so mad about that mercenary. Holy, I'm so mad about that mercenary, but it's fine. We'll find another one. It'll be okay. We'll find another one, right? There's, you know, it'll only take another like 200 maps, right? Right? Maybe. But that's the map. That's how it goes. In and out, 4 minutes, grab our loot, feel good about ourselves. Maybe we make up killing the merc with like, I don't know, something good. Maybe. No tier 0s. I do need these chaos. I am looting these chaos. We are at a stage where your boy and chaos go a long way. Rolling these maps suck. All right, we'll grab this, come over here, grab this, come over here, do this, grab this chaos. Come on over here. Oh shit. Oh. Down over here to this Alva. Make sure we didn't miss anything good. Maybe one of these days we'll actually get the Mageblood Headhunter that we've been looking for forever. Come on down here, grab our Faldo's puzzle box, another map, some more chaos, and we are really good to go. Now we're going to talk about the POB, how the damage works, and how it's all calculated. But before we get there, let's start with the gear and what's going on. First and foremost, a lot of the gear that you are going to see today, you do not need right away. You can indeed find substitutes for a lot of this gear, and I have other variations of the gear that we could talk about. First and foremost, the weapon. The weapon is going to be your bread and butter. I started with a very basic Opal Scepter, just like Zealous had, with damage over time, +2 to gems, and multi-mod. This scepter carried me. Eventually, I had the currency. I managed to buy this scepter. This scepter was sitting on trade for an obscenely low price. I managed to buy the base and craft this up myself. The difference between explode and not explode and the two scepters is not that much. Explode is sweet. Explode bases and explode scepters that are crafted are like 400 divs. Scepters like this that are fractured are like 20 divs. I would say if you're interested in playing EK Ignite, start with a very basic scepter. You do not need explode. Zealous has done all the content in the game without the explode scepter. And just before I started recording this video, we were talking about if he's even going to go into an explode scepter. So it's not something that you need. This scepter will take care of all your problems. If you don't know how to make the scepter, or you have questions about it, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will definitely 100% give you guys a hand with crafting the scepter. While you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. It means the world to me. But moving right along, inside of our scepter, we have our Frost Blink, our shield charge, and our faster attacks, giving us all of the movement skills. Moving on over to our helmet, I have the Gull. No surprise, no shock at all. We are using the Gull because we are focusing on Alva. Mr. Zealous has a completely different helmet and a completely different base, which is going to be a Blizzard Crown that is elevated or double elevated for fire resistance and ignites you inflict deal damage faster. This helmet's a pain in the ass to craft, and once again, we can walk you through it if you don't know how to slam together two double elevated helmets, but you would use this kind of crown for non-Alva content, and you would use the Gull for Alva content. I've actually tried a bunch of outside of Alva content with the Gull, and the build is so strong that I don't even know if I need this helmet. I haven't even finished this helmet, and I've done a lot of content with this. You do not need the aura gems. You do not need the burning damage. They are extra. Our helmet has a Herald of Ash. Our helmet has an Enlighten 4, which you will need to fit in your auras. You have an Anger and you have a Hatred. So we have a lot of auras supported by a level 4 Enlighten. Moving on over to our amulet, you're going to notice our amulet is the Gloomfang amulet. We are using this because our amulet is giving us the ability to chain. Our chains are really important. They are allowing us to get an extra 40% of non-chaos damage as extra chaos giving us a whole lot of damage. One really cool thing about this amulet is we did get it corrupted with 5% chance to block attack damage, and that's helping us to hit that magical lucky 90 for block. The amulet in itself without the corruption is relatively on the cheaper end, even with a high roll of the projectile as chained. It's not bad at all. If you do look for it with block, it does become, you know, if they're available, you know, 1 divine, 3 divines. It's nice to have the block. It's an extra defensive layer. So, you know, overall pretty good. We do allocate as the mountain. As the mountain gives us chance to block attack damage while dual wielding or holding a shield. Absolutely fantastic. And it gives us maximum chance to block attack damage. So overall, very good amulet, provides a lot of defenses and a lot of offenses. Moving on over to our shield, because we're talking about the amulet, we are using Svalin. Svalin's probably going to be one of the most expensive pieces of gear, depending on the level of depth that you take this build to. You know, you're going to say, oh, Explode Scepter's really expensive, but if you go this one, this one's way more expensive. Svalin's very expensive. Svalin's like 120 divs. The reason why Svalin's so expensive is it gives you a chance to have lucky block. What that does is that re-rolls the chance of your block twice, giving you, in theory, 90% chance to block in a huge defensive layer. Svalin also triggers socketed elemental skills when we block with a 0.25 second cooldown. When you do things like Alva, or you do things like Sims or Abyss, you get hit a lot and you block a lot. And this triggers flammability. This is going to trigger Hydrosphere, and this is going to trigger Flame Surge. We're using Hydrosphere because Hydrosphere is another way to chain off of Gloomfang, giving you a whole lot of damage. It's also really strong on single targets because you're going to fight a single target. It's going to hit you. You're going to block. You can cast the Hydrosphere. The Hydrosphere is going to go on the mob. You're going to hit the mob. You're going to hit the Gloomfang. You're going to hit the Hydrosphere. Boom, 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 boom. It works out great. Works out absolutely fantastic. Because we're an Ignite build, and because we are spreading ignites, we are going to be using 2 types of ignite rings. We're going to be using Replica Emberwake. You do not need it with Cannot Be Poisoned. I saw one on trade. I bought it. You do not need to buy it like this. I just happened to buy one like this. You do not need to. We are using this ring because it gives us, just ignites you, inflict, deal damage 40% faster, which is huge. It's huge. It's a huge damage multiplier. It's absolutely fantastic. The ring is ridiculously strong. And we pair it with Polaric Devastation to allow increased duration of ailments on the enemies, and we just get a whole lot of extra damage. We also cover the enemies in ash when we ignite them. Being covered in ash applies 20% less movement speed and 20% increased fire damage taken. So these 2 rings together are a huge wombo combo. A couple people have suggested Barracks or Spite, and there's options to mess around with, but these 2 seem to be the best bang for our buck. Now, moving on over, you're going to notice we are indeed using the new chest plate, the Servant of Decay. You do not need +1 socketed gems. It was super cheap at the time when I bought it. You do not need it. What is more important than socketed gems is the 6/6 numbers that you see on it. What this armor does is this armor is summoning these little squid guys. You see the little squid guys? They're chilling, they're living their lives. And those little void spawns take 6% of damage taken from hits are taken from the void spawn's life before yours. So that's pretty good. So that's 6, 12, 18, 20 for 6, 12, 18, 24% damage taken from the void spawns. And these guys have 4,000 life. You know, they're pretty tanky. They take hits and they're resummoned every 4 seconds. So you always, in theory, have them up. They also provide you 6% of non-chaos damage as extra chaos damage per summoned void spawn. So they give you an absolute metric ton of damage. Inside of our body armor, we're going to be using Ethereal Knives of the Massacre. Ethereal Knives of the Massacre is what allows your Ethereal Knives to spread in a circle. Otherwise, if you don't have Ethereal Knives of the Massacre, and you grab just, you know, regular Ethereal Knives, which is right here, and we put Ethereal Knives on, you're going to notice right away that it shoots in front of you. It's a really cool skill, and it just kind of like you have to aim it. Ethereal Knives of the Massacre just allows us to hit in a circle, not worry about anything, and it's friggin' awesome. One cool thing about Ethereal Knives is it's indeed a spell, it's a projectile, and is a fizz gem. It is not an attack skill, which becomes relevant for things like the Scepter if you get increased cast speed. And it comes relevant for, like, you know, headhunter buffs and all that jazz. We combine it with Cold to Fire because we're going to be converting our Cold to Fire so that we double dip on our damage. Awaken Deadly Ailments because we're an Ignite build. Awaken Unbound Ailments for more non-damaging elements on enemies and more damage with ailments. And then we're going to have Awaken Swift Affliction for more damage over time. And then we're going to finish it up with an Empower 4 to just give our skills a whole bunch of levels. You notice we have a level 28 Ethereal Knives of Massacre, +1 from the armor, +2 from global supports, +4 from the support gem being the Empower. Headhunter's an obvious. You can use a regular Headhunter. This is the Headhunter I've had all league. I've just been using this Headhunter. Headhunters are super cheap this league. I don't want to hear it. Headhunters are super cheap this league. They're 6 divs. Grab a Headhunter. Even if you're not playing this build, grab a Headhunter. Headhunter's insane. Now, we have 2 final pieces of gear. First, we're going to start with our gloves. Our gloves are fractured with ignites. You inflict deal damage faster. This mod is a delve mod. This mod for 10% is faster, or is expensive. For 9% is cheaper. For 8% is even cheaper. For 7% is even cheaper. It's a really good mod. You do not need it on evasion energy shield gloves. Evasion is really nice because if you don't accidentally kill the Malevolence Grace Merc, you can have grace, but you're not going to have a whole lot of grace. So I would just get this mod on whatever pair of gloves that you can get. The gloves are interesting. They need a lot of attributes in this build. So you make up the attributes on your gloves and your boots. You're going to notice that we have Essence Intelligence and then of the order suffix. So we are going to use an Essence for Intelligence. We're going to annul off the last suffix, and then we're going to Veiled Chaos, hopefully hitting a suffix and hopefully unveiling Strength and Dex. These gloves for the suffix are a pain in the ass to make. It did take me a lot of unveils. I hope you get lucky. But you do need the Strength, the Dex, and the Int to cover a lot of the requirements on the build. I probably have way too much Strength, and you could probably make up the Int and Dex here instead and just be fine. But this is where we're at. The prefixes, very simple. We just have life and fizz converted, and the Eldritch Implicits inflict fire exposure and fire.multi, which I should bless orb, which I didn't realize I didn't bless orb. So we should 100% not accidentally brick our gloves. And oh my God, dude, all my stuff fell off. And we're gonna go bless orb our gloves to 13%. Now, inside of our gloves, we're gonna have a couple of very interesting things. First and foremost, we're gonna have Tempest Shield. Tempest Shield allows us to be immune to shock, which is really nice. And it gives us a whole lot of extra lightning damage, which is like kind of whatever. It deals a bunch of lightning damage, kind of whatever. But it gives us a lot of spell block, which is really important for our defenses. We're gonna be pairing it with Summon Stone Golem because it's just where I can fit the slot for it. We're also gonna be sticking in Herald of Purity, giving us even more damage, and an Enlighten 4. You're gonna notice that I have 2 Enlighten 4s in this build. It is very important. I have exactly 0 mana. You need the Enlighten 4 in both spots to fit everything perfectly. If you don't have it, it will not fit. So keep that in mind. Now our boots are relatively the same thing. I thought I needed more strength, so I screwed up and I did the boots with Of the Order. I did not need more strength. I needed just dexterity. So you essence until avoid being shocked and dex, and then you lock suffixes, reforge resistance, and get your resistance. Very straightforward. You do not need strength and dex if you build everything properly. If you do need the attributes, I would go for int and dex instead. That is what I would ideally like. I have to recraft the boots. I don't want to recraft the boots. I'm being lazy. Our prefix, we have Fractured Life, so I don't have to worry about life. I Exalt Slammed, I hit mana. I was hoping for tier 1 movement speed, but our tier 2 movement speed I missed. And then we craft on some movement speed. Our boots are where we're gonna have our enhanced support to boost up our golems. We have a Flame Golem for more damage and area of effect, a Chaos Golem for damage over time and chaos resistance, and a Lightning Golem for cast speed and regen. But I mean, the regen doesn't do a lot. We're mind over matter. And the boots we have ignites you, inflict deal damage faster, and avoid being shocked. You need to have a 100% chance to avoid being shocked. So your implicit and your affix need to be 100 in some form, whether it's 60-40, 59-41. Just something to keep in mind. Don't be like me and run around with 99% avoid and go into a map and wonder why you're constantly frozen. Now, we have Progenesis, speaks for itself. Cinder Swallow, Malediction is absolutely massive. Malediction reduces 10%. Malediction causes 10% reduced damage dealt and 10% increased damage over time. Absolutely massive. We have Ignites, deal extra damage, and recover health on kill. Oriath's End for Explode. Explode here and Explode here is more than enough Explode. Even just this was just enough explode to get started. At Ziri's Promise for a whole lot of extra damage and leech, and then a Quicksilver Flask for movement speed. Very straightforward flask. Moving on over to the passive tree, we are indeed Elementalist. This tree has changed a lot, and I mean a lot over the last couple of days. We have changed things and put things in different sections and different areas and different everywhere. And we also tattooed everything, which is really cool. We have tattoos in different spots, and you can see the changes that we have done. Ideally, what we're doing here is we have a jewel socket down here for Corrupted Blood and phasing. The other mods and other nodes don't really matter. We want Corrupted Blood and phasing, so we get a jewel socket here. We come up over here to Searing Heat for Ignite Steel damage faster. We come over here to Eldritch Battery. We get spell damage leeches life, and then eventually we'll finish off the static blows wheels at 100. This node is like another 2 million damage, so I really need to hit 100 and stop slacking. I'm currently level 99. Eldritch Battery makes it so that our energy shield covers our mana, and this is really important because it stacks with Mind Over Matter, which we'll get to in a minute. Our cluster over here is Disorienting Display, Prismatic Heart, and Sadist. We do indeed use 2 of these. I just synthesized the cluster just to XDD see what would happen. You do not need to synthesize the cluster. I have over here Lasting Impressions, Purposeful Harbinger. You can Exalt, Aug, Regal these. It's a pain in the ass to make, but they can be Alt, Auged, Regaled. The same goes for the other cluster over here for Endbringer and Purposeful Harbinger. These clusters all suck to make. If you could buy them, I would just buy them. Clusters in general just suck to make, but I mean, it is what it is. Now, this one, Brush with Death, Fan the Flames. If you do not have or cannot get Fan the Flames to have your Ignite spread, you can put it on the gloves and lose the fire damage over time multiplier and have Ignite spread there and change this cluster into something else. Brush with Death, I think, is very good. It is damage over time multiplier, plus recover life on kill and energy shield on kill. In the jewel socket here, we have Storm Shroud to give us ailment immunity. That's why we have the boots the way we do. And then over here, we have our glorious Mickey Mouse jewel because Mickey Mouse is helping us to get 6% chance to block spell and attack damage. Thank you, Mickey, for keeping us alive. We truly appreciate it. Over here, we take Golem Commander for an extra Golem. Breath of Rhyme so that we have cold damage and we get the Cold Mastery for Fizz converted to cold. We take the Mana Mastery here for reservation so that we can fit in all of our auras. Cruel Preparation for extra life and resistances. Breath of Flames for damage over time and fire damage. And then we have Rune Graft of the Warp. Now you're going to notice that I have a Lethal Pride here. This Lethal Pride is really cool. There's a lot of really good options that you can do with both your Lethal Pride or your Brutal Restraint. If you have a Lethal Pride or would like to do a Lethal Pride setup, you can get really cool nodes like burning damage. You can get really cool nodes like physical damage as extra fire, or my favorite, ignites you inflict deal damage 10% faster. This Lethal Pride was probably way too expensive. This Lethal Pride, I probably overpaid, but I do have ignites deal damage 10% faster, ignites deal damage 10% faster, and ignite deals damage 10% faster. Here's attack damage leeches life, doesn't do anything. This is burning damage, kind of nice to have, and this is physical as extra damage. Now, if you can't get this or you can't get those combination of nodes or nodes like that, there are other options. You can go with a Brutal Restraint, just like Zealous has. I played with this one up until about an hour ago. So literally for the last 2 days, I've been using this up until about an hour ago when I bought this. This one gives you elemental damage. This one gives you elemental damage. This one gives you elemental damage. This one gives you projectile damage, which is like whatever. This one gives you movement speed, and this one gives you increased effect of non-curse auras. So you can get non-curse auras, elemental damage, and movement speed. Really, really, really good options. I have tested a lot of these different ones out, and there's some really cool stuff that you can get on Brutal Restraints and Lethal Pride. For example, if I put this one in, I get minions, which doesn't really matter. I get projectile damage, which is okay. I get Fizz's extra cold, which is huge. I get evasion rating, which if I had the Gray Smirk, which would be really nice. I get elemental damage here, and then Fizz's extra cold. And then you can even do something like this, where you put this one in, and you get elemental damage. Alchemist Genius, which is huge. Effective Flask, massive. Elemental damage, elemental damage, elemental damage, Fizz's extra. So you have options. You do not need the Lethal Pride. You have two ideas or two options that you can mess around with and just go with whatever's within your budget And by the time you watch this video, it's probably later in the league already. So finding a jewel might be a little bit on the difficult end due to availability. Moving on over, we have another large cluster, the same as the other one before, disoriented display, prismatic heart status. We have lasting impressions, purposeful harbinger. We have endbringer, purposeful harbinger. Resistances in this build are tight. You're gonna notice I have resistances on the helmet, resistances on the ring, resistances on the ring. I have resistances on the boots, okay? Resistances in this build are tight. I even have resistances tattooed at some spots. It helps if you get the clusters with resistances. Otherwise, you are relying on your resistances to be capped from your flask and headhunter. It's not a terrible thing. Some people hate that, but it's something to keep note. Resistances are very, very, very tight. Even on the Blizzard Crown, I have resistances on the suffix. So if you're one of those people that need to 100% of the time have your resistances be capped and they need to be as high as possible, you have to get resistances on the clusters or tattoo resistances. It just is what it is. The rest of the tree is very straightforward. Elemental overload for a lot of damage, acrimony for damage over time multiplier if you killed recently, mind over matter. We take mind over matter and Eldritch Battery because mind over matter says 40% of damage is taken from mana before life. Headhunter buffs in a map will give you 4 billion energy shield, and that energy shield works with mind over matter, and you have this huge buffer of life and mana to keep you alive alongside block. We have a Watcher's Eye. I have a 3-modded Watcher's Eye. You don't need a 3-modded Watcher's Eye. Ideally, you would like Fizz converted to cold while affected by hatred to double dip with cold to fire, and damage over time multiplier while affected by malevolence. Those 2 mods by themselves, I actually had my Watcher's Eye was 2 mods up until about 2 hours, 3 hours ago. These 2 mods, if I were to price check by themselves, are about 19, 20 divs. Not too crazy, but that's what you do not aim for these crazy ones. It's very little damage increase. Your damage gets capped like that because of Headhunter. The rest of the tree, very straightforward. Safeguard here, block mastery to get us to that beautiful 90% block. And then you're gonna understand here we have a Red Nightmare. Red Nightmare says gain 10% of fire damage as chaos. Passives granting fire resistance or all elemental resistance in radius also grant chance to block at 50% of their value. So you're gonna notice that we tattoo a bunch of nodes here for chance to block, or for fire resistance to get chance to block, and that's how we get that beautiful block cap. Now, I mentioned earlier, we are an Elementalist. We do take a Forbidden Flesh and Flame, which is up here, for Shaper of the Storms. To play it the way that I have it now, you need to have Bringer of Ruin, you need Leisure the Primordial so that you get extra golems, Shaper of Storms shocks everything and gives you shock, Shaper of Flames ignites everything, and Mastermind of Discord gives you exposure at 25% when we do exposure from our gloves. The Forbidden Flesh and Flame, this one is very expensive. Don't buy Leisure the Primordial. Shaper of Storms at the time of recording is relatively on the cheaper end. This is 2 divines, and this one I think is 20. 10, 20. Whichever ones are available that you can afford of these 5, buy, and then path to the other one. Please don't yell at me if Shaper of Storms gets really expensive, but Bringer of Ruin is cheap and you didn't look. Just fair warning. Now, damage, POB, how does this work? What's going on? First and foremost, because we don't have Malevolence or Grace, we have Malevolence on our Merc. Our Merc POB will be included for you down below in the description. Defiance of Destiny, and this mercenary this guy does not die. He survives everything. He's with you all the time. You have permanent Malevolence, and if you're not a dumbass, you'd have permanent Grace. We have Malevolence, increased effect weapon and weapon. We have a helmet with Pinnacle Boss because we're a Pinnacle Boss to give us Temp Change Curse effect and reduce life regeneration. We get Temp Chains and Enfeeble from the gloves. We get Anathema with more curses, so this guy can cast 1 billion curses. Malevolence effect, boots with stats, Malevolence effects combining, and a body armor with Malevolence effect and non-curse auras. I like Venom Gyre on the Merc a lot. Venom Gyre bounces around, it hits everything. This guy, if you just took this guy into a map, he will just curse everything and everything will be cursed, and you will have malevolence, and everything will have enfeeble and temp chains on it. It's fantastic. It's absolutely out of this world fantastic. But let's go to the POB and how this works and what you should be doing. So I'm going to hide my face for this. We're going to dismiss this, and we're going to hit new. We're going to import, and we're going to import our character. So we go to our character and we import. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take all of our gear for our mercenary, import all of our gear to our mercenary, go to import export, click extra support, hit generate, copy, and import our mercenary into the party section so that we have our merc, because we always have malevolence and we want to know our damage. Before we do anything, our damage is 9 million with the gull, no calculations, nothing going on. We are 9 million damage. If I go back to POE for a second, I grab this helmet, I open up Path of Building, I toss in this helmet, I change my helmet to the non-gull, we go to 10 million and change. This will get changed in a second. So we're at 9 million, we're at 90 block, capped resistances, no flask. Configurations, you will always be chaining because of mobs or hydrosphere. You will always be chaining. Every time you hit an enemy, it will ignite and burn. Every time you hit an enemy, it will be shocked. Every time you hit an enemy, it will be exposed to fire. Every time you hit an enemy, it will be chilled, because we have some cold damage. So you will always ignite and chill. You will always cover the enemy in ash. And if you're doing Alva, all of your mobs will be 20% delirious. So your damage is 16 mil before anything. You will always have Wrath because your mercenary will always be alive, or your golem will always be alive. You will disable your HP and block, so you're about $146. And you will always have chilled, ignited, and shocked recently. And this is what your damage looks like with the merc. Yes, somebody's gonna be like, oh my God, you're not dot capped. You have Headhunter. You're not bossing with this. You have Headhunter. Don't forget you have Headhunter. Did I mention you have Headhunter? You play around with Headhunter. Even if you didn't play around with Headhunter, as soon as you click your flask, because you're mapping, you get a whole lot of damage. You're at 22 million dot damage. You could probably kick it even higher. Have you killed recently? Yes, you have. You can even, if you're feeling, you know, adventurous, change one of the things to get convergence and get even more damage. But that's what the configurations look like. The reason we have the configurations like this is because we are always chaining with Hydrosphere. We are always cursing because we're always blocking. As long as you are blocking, you are not dead. If you do not block it, you take a hit and your flask is down, you might die. But you should always be blocking. You're at 90%. 90% is a very large number. And that's just kind of where it's at and where it is. If you have questions about the POB, the calculations, or how to figure it out, please leave a comment down below and ask. As soon as you get any number of Headhunter buffs, because you're a fizz-based build, your damage is capped immediately because there is a dot cap and you cap your damage immediately. But that's really everything. There are probably ways, yes, to get the damage higher without needing Headhunter. I am open to all suggestions. Please leave them down below in the comments. I know Zealous would love to hear them. I would love to hear them. So please, by all means, leave the comments down below. But overall, the build's super fun. I like it a lot. It's great. It's a really good time. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is you're going to notice I have a lot of tattoos. I have the tattoos so they can be crit immune or reduce damage from crits. So you do need to do this. The fire resistance tattoos, you do need to do. You might need to tattoo resistances. You will need to do this. So it is just something to think about. And if you don't mess up your boots and you get int index on your boots, you can tattoo the rest of your int nodes. Also, the last thing I'm going to say is shield charge. Just keep it at level 1. Don't level the damn thing. Then you won't have strength problems. You'll be fine. But that's overall everything. I want to say thank you again to Zealous for making an absolutely fantastic, great, wonderful build. This has been out of this world fantastic. I do highly encourage you guys to head on over to his channel, leave him a like and a comment, and just let him know what you think about the build. But for me, friends, that's going to be it for now. And I'm going to get this video out to you guys. If you have any other cool builds, guides, or anything you want me to try, leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm always open to trying new stuff. I think it's really cool. But for now, friends, we'll get this video out to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.